Speaker, it's hard to believe a mere 18 months after election 2008, people are saying, where is the fresh start we were promised by John Key? Where is the fresh start? What is fresh about this government other than their leader, the front man, the one with the flash suit and a smile that's reminiscent of a rat with a gold tooth? After 18 months, we haven't had a fresh start, Mr. Speaker. After 18 months, we have had a false start.
Order.
We have had a false start. In fact, the entire government's agenda is based on falsehoods. I listened yesterday to the Minister of Social Development who said there is a real buzz around this budget. And I say, well, yes, I agree with the Minister of Social Development. There is a whiff of something very stale about this government and this budget. And the buzz she can hear is the buzz of the blue bottles as they surround this budget. I have to tell the members opposite that increasingly New Zealanders are sick of the political sideshows from this government. Rodney Hyde and his latest travel itinerary, flags on bridges, toy tossing by Tariana or bottom pinching by Richard Worth. New Zealanders have had enough of the political grandstanding and sideshows by this government. Kiwis want a government that focuses on the issues that matter to them, and photo opportunities and appearing on television in America and globe-trotting and all those cocktail parties don't substitute for real leadership. They don't cut it for real leadership, for real policy or for a plan for the future. And I have to tell people, there is no plan with this government. There is no plan. In fact, this is a government that goes from cloud cuckoo land to cloud cuckoo land. And it depends on who spoke to the Prime Minister last. Someone said to him, let's have a job summit. He said, oh, that's a good idea. He said, that's a very good idea. He said, it'll give us a step change for New Zealand. Well, I have to tell Mr. Key, it wasn't a step change, it was a step back. Because have a look at this budget and see who are the big losers in New Zealand. It is the unemployed people of this country. Young people, Maori people, Pacific Island people, Asian people. It's a roll call of shame for that government and the number of people who are unemployed now and will continue to be unemployed. And in Bill English's own budget documents,
Order. I'm sorry to interrupt. No, I've indicated to the member he must contain himself. He's not sitting in his own seat. If he persists in that, I'll ask him to go back to his own seat.
In Bill English's own budget documents, he is planning on 60,000 people to still be on the unemployment benefit in 4 years' time. That's a city almost the size of Palmerston North who will still be on the unemployment benefit in 4 years' time. If the members opposite don't believe me, read your own budget documents. 145,000 New Zealanders they are budgeting to be out of work, unemployed in 4 years' time. And members opposite might know this, but that is double the number that they inherited in terms of unemployed and people on the unemployment benefit than when we left government. 4 years, 5 years' time, they will still have double the number of people on the unemployment benefit. And what do the National Party think about it? Well, they think this major social and economic problem is just collateral damage to their budget. Just collateral damage. And when I look at what the Minister of Social Development said, I'm appalled. She's so excited, she said, because 12,000 young New Zealanders are going to get a short-term job op for 6 months over the next year. 12,000. How many young people are unemployed? Do the members opposite know? How many are unemployed? How many young people under 25 years of age are unemployed in New Zealand today? 60,000 young people, I say to that member. 60,000 6,000. She thinks there's 12,000. No wonder they can't get their budget figures right. There are 60,000 young people unemployed at this moment. And what have they promised over this next year? 12,000 job ops. Job ops. They last 6 months, and the minister said it's not to give them a permanent job. And at the same time, we are seeing all sorts of training reduced, tertiary education reduced, even cutting assistance of employment assistance to those who are disabled in New Zealand. Look in the budget document. They have had their training opportunities, employment assistance, cut in this budget. And the much vaunted youth guarantee that was promised at the election is going to give 4,000 places to young people up to 2011. That is what their commitment is to those people who haven't got a job in New Zealand. New Zealanders were promised a budget that would deliver to all families. Well, I have to tell the members opposite, there will be 170,000 children who will live in poverty in this country, who will live in inadequate housing, insufficient food and heating in this country because of this budget. There has been no attempt made to deal with those children who live in poverty, and that's a shame on the government opposite. The people in New Zealand are worried sick about the struggle they know that is ahead of them. The struggle to get bread on the table, to pay their school fees, to pay their power bills. And yes, what's on the front page of the Dominion Post today? We have a power company confirming what we knew was right. Power bills are going to go up by $5 a week and gas bills by $1.75 a month. Mightn't be much to members of Parliament on their salary, but $5 a week when you have got $4.17 as your increase in the tax cuts after GST means it's gone in one foul sweep. One foul sweep. And they were told this whole thing was about making them work harder. It was about making them save more, spending less. They were to step up once they got this big payout from the tax cuts and have more money in their pocket. Well, most New Zealanders, the first 3 million taxpayers in this country, on average will have $4.17 extra a week, and John Key will have $218 a week. That tells you the fairness of this budget. And I don't always agree with Richard Long, but I certainly agreed with his column yesterday when he said this in the Dominion Post. In our low-wage economy, 3/4 of the workforce are going to be left clutching a handful of extra dollars, most of which will go on living essentials, price rises, and buying the kids a new pair of shoes. John Key said only about 18 months ago this. He said, ask yourself this, do you feel better off? Well, New Zealanders, after 2 budgets of this national government, are asking that question. 2 budgets, 2 tax cuts. Are you feeling better off? GST increase, interest rates going up. Do you feel better off? Inflation set to skyrocket to 6% next year. Do you feel better off? Wage increases at their lowest level in a decade. Do you feel better off? Jobs that are higher job wages, better jobs, more opportunities in Australia. Do you feel better off? Cuts in your health care, cuts in education for preschoolers, cuts. Do you feel better off? And Bill English said the recession is over. Well, I say, do you feel better off, New Zealanders? No, you don't. And it might have been a good question to ask 18 months ago, Mr. Key, when New Zealanders were in a much better position than they are today. But I don't think Mr. Key is going to enjoy the answer, because for millions of New Zealanders, in fact, those who are on low and modest incomes, they do not feel better off. They will not feel better off. And this time next year, I predict many of them will be in a far worse position than they are today. This government is asking too much of too many low and middle Kiwis, asking them to carry the burden for the high income earners on their shoulder. And at the same time, they're putting a burden of debt on the same people as they borrow for tax cuts. borrow for tax cuts to give to those who have the most. And I have to say, Mr. Speaker, at the same time, to rub salt into the wound, they are now saying they will sell the state